The kitchen smelled faintly of lemon dish soap, mingling with the sharp tang of the Pinot Grigio in my glass. The dishwasher hummed its steady rhythm, a sound so familiar it was almost invisible, like the ticking of the microwave clock that read 9:17 p.m. I, Sarah, sat at the counter, my phone glowing with images of a white colonial house, 3 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, a backyard big enough for a garden. It was a fantasy, priced well beyond our budget, but scrolling through real estate listings had become my nightly ritual. Our $50,000 house deposit, painstakingly saved over 3 years, was our ticket to that dream. Mark and I had scraped together every penny, my freelance design gigs, his overtime at the financial firm. It was more than money. It was a promise of roots, stability, a future we could touch. Mark was late again. His text at 5:30 p.m. had been curt, working late. Be home soon. I barely registered it anymore. His job as a financial analyst demanded long hours, client dinners, endless spreadsheets. I'd grown accustomed to eating alone, to the quiet of our small Denver apartment. But tonight the delay stung. Maybe it was the wine, my second glass, an indulgence I rarely allowed, or the monotony of my own job, crafting taglines for toothpaste and car insurance in a gray cubicle. I was 32, and the life I'd imagined at 25 felt like a mirage, shimmering just out of reach. Our apartment was a cozy cage, a 2-bedroom rental with scuffed hardwood and walls crowded with memories. A photo from our courthouse wedding hung near the fridge, Mark's grin wide, mine shy, both of us impossibly young. Another from our honeymoon in Estes Park, wind-blown and laughing after a grueling hike. Last Christmas at my sister Jen's, his arm around me, his hazel eyes warm. We weren't perfect. We argued over dishes, over my tendency to leave paintbrushes soaking in jars, over his habit of losing track of time at work. But we were solid. Mark handled our finances, balanced our budget, reassured me when I fretted over bills. I trusted him completely. That trust was my anchor. His phone buzzed on the counter, sharp and insistent. It was odd, Mark never left his iPhone behind. He was tethered to it, always checking emails, texting clients, his thumb a constant blur. The screen lit up. Bank alert. Transaction completed. My stomach tightened. A bank notification at this hour? I set my wineglass down, the stem cool and slick against my fingers. Snooping wasn't me. I'd never checked his phone, never needed to. But the house deposit loomed in my mind, a fragile monument to our future. Something about that alert felt like a crack in the foundation. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. His passcode was 0718, our wedding anniversary, a romantic whim from our early days. We'd chosen matching codes, a small vow of openness. Guilt prickled my skin, but I typed it in. The phone unlocked with a soft click, and my pulse quickened. The banking app was open, the transaction stark. Transfer to L.M. Trust $10,000. My breath caught. $10,000? To who? I scrolled, my fingers clumsy. Another transfer, $5,000 2 weeks ago. Another $8,000 last month. All to L.M. Trust. My mind spun. A client? A loan? Why hadn't he told me? I opened our joint savings account, the house fund. We called it, a name that made us laugh when we opened it 3 years ago. Every bonus, every tax refund, every late-night design project I'd taken on, it all went there. It should have been $50,000, maybe more with interest. The screen loaded, and the balance hit me like a slap. $2,347. 12. The room tilted. I gripped the counter, my nails biting into the chipped laminate. $47,000 gone. Our dream, our future drained away. My chest constricted and I forced a breath. A bank error maybe. Or he'd moved it to another account. He wouldn't spend it without me. Would he? I dug deeper, scrolling his phone with shaking hands. The banking app showed no other accounts, no investments, no trace of the money. I opened his calendar, desperate for context. Lunch with L.M. appeared every Tuesday, sometimes Thursdays at Rosie's Diner, a 20-minute drive from his office. No last name, no details. Just L.M. My pulse thundered. Who was this person and why were they bleeding us dry? The dishwasher clicked off, leaving the kitchen silent, the air heavy. I opened his email, typing L.M. into the search bar. One hit. A utility bill confirmation for an address in Lakewood, 30 minutes away. The name was Laura Mitchell. My stomach lurched. A relative? A friend? Why was Mark paying her bills? My mind churned blackmail, debt, an affair? Each thought was a knife sharper than the last. The garage door rumbled and my heart leapt. I locked the phone, fumbling to place it exactly as it was, screen dark. I grabbed my wine glass, the liquid trembling inside. Mark stepped in, suit jacket over his shoulder, tie loose, his brown hair mussed. He smiled, hazel eyes crinkling. "Hey babe. Long day." He leaned to kiss my forehead, his sandalwood cologne sharp, alien. I stiffened and he paused. "You okay?" "Mark," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "Where's the money for the house?" His smile flickered, a glitch in his warmth. "What do you mean?" "It's in the account." I checked. My words cut sharp and cold. "It's gone. $50,000, Mark." "Where is it?" He rubbed his neck, his telltale nervous tick. "I invested it. A business opportunity. It'll pay off, Sarah, I promise." "Invested?" My voice cracked, rising. "Without telling me? Our house deposit? Show me the account." He hesitated, eyes flicking to his phone. "It's complicated. I'll explain tomorrow. I'm exhausted." "No." I stepped closer, fists clenched. "Now. Who's LSM? Trust." His face paled, jaw tight. "Sarah, don't." "Don't what?" I shouted, tears burning my eyes. "You've been sending thousands to someone. Who is it?" He sank into a chair, head in hands. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me." My voice broke, raw and desperate. "Because it looks like you're stealing our future." His silence was a confession, heavier than words. He stared at the floor, guilt etched in his slumped shoulders. I turned, stormed to our bedroom and locked the door, the click echoing like a gunshot. Alone, I collapsed onto the bed, the comforter still tangled from morning. My mind replayed our marriage, college, his snowy proposal, our late-night dreams of a family. It felt like a lie now, every memory tainted. I opened my laptop, searching Laura Mitchell. A few vague profiles, then a property record. A Lakewood house leased to Laura Mitchell, 34, single mother of 2. My breath hitched. Single mother. Was Mark supporting her? Why? Sleep eluded me, the ceiling a blank canvas for my fears. Every creak of the apartment felt like Mark plotting his next lie. The house we'd never buy, the garden I'd never plant, the kids we'd named in whispers, Emma, Lucas, all stolen. By morning I was resolute. Mark left without a word, avoiding my gaze. I called in sick, my voice steady as I lied about a stomach bug. When his car pulled away, I grabbed my keys. I'd drive to Lakewood, find Laura, and uncover the truth. The morning air was crisp, slicing through the open window of my Honda as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles pale against the worn leather. I hadn't slept, my eyes gritty from staring at the ceiling all night, replaying the moment I saw the bank balance. $2,347. 12. Our house deposit, $50,000, the sum of 3 years of sacrifice, gone, funneled to someone named Laura Mitchell. Trust. The name burned in my mind, each letter a question mark. Who was she? Why was Mark, my husband of 7 years, sending her our money? The address I'd found in his email, 1427 Pine Street, Lakewood, glowed on my phone's GPS, a 30-minute drive from our Denver apartment. I'd called in sick to work, my voice steady as I lied to my boss about a migraine. Mark had left at dawn, his eyes avoiding mine, his silence louder than any excuse. I was done waiting for answers. I'd find Laura myself. The drive felt endless, though the GPS clocked it at 28 minutes. Denver's suburbs blurred past strip malls, coffee shops, rows of tidy bungalows with manicured lawns. My mind churned, piecing together fragments from Mark's phone. The $10,000 transfer. The lunches with L.M. at Rosie's Diner. The utility bill for Laura's address. Was she a client? A friend? A lover? My stomach twisted at the last thought, but I pushed it down. Mark wasn't perfect. He worked too much, forgot anniversaries sometimes, but an affair? It didn't fit the man I'd married. The one who'd proposed in a snowy park, who'd held my hand through my dad's funeral. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Our savings were gone, and Laura Mitchell was the key. Lakewood was quieter than Denver, its streets lined with modest homes and old oaks. Pine Street was a cul-de-sac, and number 1427 was a pale blue ranch house, its paint peeling at the edges. A tricycle lay tipped over in the driveway, a soccer ball wedged against the curb. I parked across the street, my heart thudding so loud I thought it might wake the neighborhood. The house looked lived in, ordinary, but it held secrets I wasn't sure I could face. I checked the time. 8:42 a.m. If Laura was here, she might be getting ready for the day. I imagined her inside, oblivious to the storm I was about to unleash. A woman emerged from the front door, and my breath caught. She was in her mid-30s with dark hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing a gray sweater and jeans. She carried a toddler on her hip, a girl maybe 3 with curly brown hair, and held the hand of a boy about 6 who clutched a backpack. The woman Laura it had to be. Buckled them into a minivan, her movements quick but tired, like someone carrying too much weight. I studied her face as she leaned into the car. She wasn't glamorous, not the femme fatale I'd half expected. Just a mom, ordinary human. Then the boy turned and my world stopped. His eyes, hazel, flecked with green just like Mark's. The resemblance was a punch to the gut, so sharp I gasped. My hands trembled as I started the car, following the minivan at a distance. I wasn't thinking clearly, just acting on instinct like a hunter tracking prey. The van pulled into a park a few miles away, a sprawling green space with swings and a slide. Laura sat on a bench scrolling her phone, while the kids ran to the playground, the boy pushing his sister on a swing. Their laughter carried, bright and careless, and it twisted something inside me. Those could have been my kids, the ones Mark and I had planned. Emma and Lucas, names we'd whispered in bed, dreaming of a future now stolen. I parked and sat for a moment, my pulse a drumbeat in my ears. Confronting her here in front of her kids felt wrong, but I couldn't wait. I needed answers. My legs felt like lead as I crossed the grass, the morning dew soaking my sneakers. Laura looked up as I approached, her brow furrowing. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice soft but wary. "Are you Laura Mitchell?" My words came out sharper than I intended, edged with the anger I'd been holding since last night. "Yes." She stood, clutching her phone, her eyes darting to the kids. "Do I know you?" "I'm Sarah." I swallowed, my throat dry. "Mark's wife." Her face went white, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh God," she whispered, stumbling back onto the bench. "I didn't know he was married." The world tilted. Her words hit like a freight train, each one a confirmation of my worst fears. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Who are you to him?" Laura's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. We've been together for 5 years. Those," she gestured to the kids, her voice breaking. "Those are our children." My knees buckled and I grabbed the bench to steady myself. "Our children." I repeated, the words foreign, impossible. "You're saying Mark has kids with you?" She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Ethan's 6. Lily's 3. Mark said he was divorced, that his ex-wife lived out of state. I swear I had no idea." I couldn't breathe. The park spun around me, the swings creaking, the kids' laughter, the distant hum of traffic. My Mark had a second family. 2 kids. A life I knew nothing about. The betrayal was a physical thing, a weight crushing my chest. "Our savings," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "He's been sending you money. Thousands. Our house deposit." Laura's eyes widened. "He told me it was for the kids' school daycare rent. I thought it was his money." She shook her head, her voice rising. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I didn't know." The boy Ethan ran over, tugging Laura's sleeve. "Mommy, who's this?" His hazel eyes, Mark's eyes, bored into me, innocent and curious. Lily toddled behind, clutching a plastic shovel. "Just a friend." I managed, my voice breaking. I turned away, unable to look at them, and walked back to my car, my vision blurred with tears. I drove home in a daze, Laura's words looping in my mind. Our children. Mark had built a parallel life. A family I wasn't part of, funded by our dreams. The house we'd never buy, the garden I'd never plant. It was all gone, poured into this other world. At home, I collapsed onto the couch, the apartment suffocatingly quiet. I needed proof, something undeniable, before confronting Mark again. I opened my laptop, my hands still shaking, and searched for a private investigator. A local firm popped up, with reviews praising their discretion. I called, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "I need everything you can find on Laura Mitchell and my husband, Mark Reynolds," I told the woman on the phone. "Bank records, addresses, photos, anything." She promised results within days, her tone calm, professional. I hung up, staring at the photos on our wall, Mark and me smiling clueless. How had I missed this? That night I barely slept, haunted by Ethan's eyes so like Mark's. The boy was 6, conceived a year into our marriage. The math was a knife, twisting deeper with every calculation. Mark had been lying for years, living 2 lives while I planned our future. I thought of Laura, her shock, her tears. She was a victim too, but that didn't dull my pain. I wanted to scream, to shatter something, but I held it together. I'd wait for the investigators' report. Then I'd make Mark face what he'd done. 3 days had crawled by since I met Laura Mitchell in that Lakewood park. Her words, "our children," etched into my skull like a brand. Ethan, 6, and Lily, 3, with Mark's hazel eyes staring back at me, innocent and damning. The private investigator's email arrived at 2:37 p.m. A notification that buzzed my phone while I sat at the kitchen counter, staring at the same spot where I'd first discovered the betrayal. Our Denver apartment, once a haven of shared dreams, felt like a crime scene now. Every photo on the wall a lie. The $50,000 house deposit, our future, was gone. Funneled into Laura's life, her kids, her home. I'd barely eaten, barely slept, my body running on coffee and rage. But today I had proof. Today Mark would face me. The investigator's report was a digital gut punch, a PDF attachment titled, "Reynolds Summary." I opened it on my laptop, my hands trembling as I scrolled through 12 pages of devastation. Bank statements showed $45,000 transferred to Laura's L.M. trust account over 2 years, $10,000 here, $5,000 there. A slow bleed of our savings. Photos captured Mark at Laura's Blue Ranch house in Lakewood. Him carrying groceries, tossing a football with Ethan, kissing Laura on the porch. A lease agreement for 1427 Pine Street listed Mark as the guarantor. There were even daycare receipts for Lily, paid from an account I didn't recognize but traced to Mark's name. The evidence was ironclad. A timeline of deceit stretching back 5 years. A year into our marriage. I printed it all. The printers hum a grim soundtrack as pages stacked like accusations. I arranged the documents in a folder, each one a brick in the wall I was building between me and the man I thought I knew. The folder sat on the kitchen table, its manila cover plain but heavy with truth. I'd chosen the kitchen for this. Not our bedroom, not the living room where we'd watched movies curled up together. The kitchen was neutral, a battleground of laminate and fluorescent light, where I could face him without the ghosts of our past crowding in. I checked the clock. 6:12 p.m. Mark would be home soon, his late night at the office excuse as flimsy as ever. My stomach churned, but my resolve was steel. I wasn't the naive Sarah who trusted him blindly. Not anymore. The garage door rumbled at 6:28, and my heart lurched. I sat at the table, hands folded over the folder, my posture rigid. Mark stepped in, his suit jacket slung over one shoulder, tie loosened, his brown hair mussed from a day I now knew was a lie. He smiled, that familiar crinkle in his hazel eyes, but it faltered when he saw me. "Hey babe," he said, his voice too bright, like he was trying to outrun the tension in the air. He leaned to kiss my forehead, but I leaned back, my chair scraping against the floor. "Sit down," I said, my voice cold, sharp as a blade. He froze, his jacket slipping to the floor. "Sarah, what's wrong?" His tone was cautious, like he was stepping around broken glass. I slid the folder across the table, the sound loud in the silent kitchen. "Explain this." He hesitated, then sat, his hands hovering over the folder before opening it. His eyes scanned the first page, a bank statement with highlighted transfers to L.M. Trust. His face drained of color, his jaw tightening as he flipped to the photos. Mark with Ethan, Mark with Laura, Mark living a life I didn't know existed. He closed the folder, his hands shaking, and looked at me. "Where did you get this?" "I met Laura." My voice trembled, but I forced it steady. "I know about your kids, Ethan and Lily. I know you've been sending our house deposit, our money, to them." His shoulders slumped, his head dropping into his hands. "Sarah, Our house deposit, Mark. I shouted, slamming my hand on the table. The folder jumped, paper spilling. $50,000. We saved for years, my freelance gigs, your overtime, every sacrifice, and you gave it to her? To your other family? He flinched, his hands gripping his hair. It's not what you think. Then what is it? My voice cracked, tears burning my eyes. Because it looks like you've been lying to me for 5 years. Living a double life. How could you? He looked up, his eyes red, glistening. I didn't mean for this to happen. Laura, it was a mistake at first. A fling. Then she got pregnant with Ethan, and I couldn't just walk away. A fling. I laughed, bitter and raw. 5 years, 2 kids, and our savings isn't a fling, Mark. It's a betrayal. You're their father. You leased their house. You kissed her goodbye in those photos. I was going to tell you, he said, his voice desperate. I just didn't know how. Tell me what? That you're a liar? That you stole our future for them? Tears streamed down my face, hot and unstoppable. Did you think I'd never find out? He reached for my hand, but I yanked it away, the table between us a chasm. I love you, Sarah, he said, his voice breaking. I never meant to hurt you. Love. I spat the word, venom in my throat. You don't lie to someone you love. You don't build a secret family behind their back. You don't steal their dreams. He stood, pacing, his hands raking through his hair. I was trying to protect you. I thought I could handle it, keep both lives separate, keep you happy. Happy? My voice rose to a scream. I was planning our future while you were playing house with her. We were supposed to buy a home, start a family. You took that from me. I know, he whispered, stopping, his eyes pleading. I messed up. I'll fix it. I'll stop the payments, I'll stop. I grabbed a photo from the folder, Mark and Ethan laughing in Laura's yard, and shoved it in his face. You can't undo this. You have kids, Mark. You're their father. My voice broke and I sank into the chair, sobbing. You chose them over me. He knelt beside me, his hand hovering near my shoulder but not touching. I didn't choose them. I was trapped. Laura needed help and I. Get out, I said, my voice low, final. I pointed to the door, my hand steady despite the tears. Now. Sarah, please, he begged, standing. Let's talk about this. We can work it out. There's nothing to work out. I stood, wiping my face, my anger a shield. You broke us. Get out. He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing, but no words came. Finally, he grabbed his jacket and walked to the door, his footsteps heavy. The door clicked shut, and the silence was deafening. I collapsed onto the floor, the folder's contents scattered around me like wreckage. Our marriage, our dreams shattered. But I wasn't done. I had proof, and I'd make sure Mark faced the consequences. I'd call a lawyer tomorrow. I'd rebuild somehow. But tonight I let myself grieve, the kitchen tiles cold against my skin, the weight of his betrayal heavier than I could bear. The morning after I threw Mark out, the apartment felt like a hollow shell, its silence louder than any argument. The kitchen table, where I'd confronted him with the private investigator's folder, still held scattered papers, bank statements, photos of him with Laura and their kids, Ethan and Lily, a lease agreement tying him to their Lakewood home. Our $50,000 house deposit, the dream we'd built over 3 years, was gone, funneled into his secret family. I sat on the couch, a mug of coffee cooling in my hands, staring at the wedding photo on the wall. Mark's arm around me, both of us smiling, clueless. 7 years of marriage undone in one night. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. I'd cried until my eyes burned, but today I'd start fighting back. I opened my laptop, the screen's glow harsh in the dim living room. A quick search led me to a divorce lawyer in Denver, Elaine Carter, whose website promised compassionate, aggressive representation. Her reviews mentioned success in cases of financial misconduct, and Mark's theft of our savings screamed misconduct. I called, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. I need to file for divorce, I told her assistant. My husband drained our joint account for another family. The words tasted like ash, but saying them aloud made the betrayal real. Solid, something I could fight. They scheduled a consultation for the next day. I hung up, my hands shaking, but a spark of resolve flickered. Mark wouldn't walk away unscathed. I needed to move to do something, so I packed a bag, clothes, toiletries, my sketchbook for freelance design work. Staying in the apartment felt like suffocating in memories, so I booked a short-term rental, a one-bedroom across town, using the last $2,000 in our joint account. Mark could have the couch if he came back. I wasn't his wife anymore, not in my heart. As I packed, my phone buzzed. A text from my sister, Jen. "You okay? You didn't call back last night." I'd ignored her messages during my spiral, but now I needed her. I dialed, and she answered on the first ring. "Sarah, what's wrong?" Jen's voice was warm, worried, the big sister who'd always had my back. I broke, sobbing as I told her everything. Mark's secret family, the missing money, the confrontation. "He has kids, Jen. 2 kids. He's been lying for years." "Oh, honey," she whispered, her voice thick. "Come stay with me. You don't have to do this alone." "I can't," I said, wiping my face. "I need to handle this myself." "But, can you meet me tomorrow? After my lawyer meeting?" "Of course. Anything you need." Her certainty grounded me, a lifeline in the chaos. The next day, Elaine Carter's office was a sleek contrast to my unraveling life. Glass walls, plush chairs, a view of Denver's skyline. Elaine was in her 50s, with sharp gray eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I handed her the investigator's folder, watching her flip through the evidence with a frown. "This is textbook financial infidelity," she said, tapping a bank statement. "He diverted marital assets without your consent. We'll go for everything. Division of remaining assets, alimony, possibly fraud charges if we can prove intent." "Fraud?" I asked, my stomach twisting. The word felt huge, criminal. She nodded. "He misrepresented the use of joint funds. We can argue he defrauded you of your share. Colorado's equitable distribution laws favor you here, especially with this evidence." She outlined the process: filing for divorce, discovery, a potential settlement. "He'll likely want to avoid court," she said. "This is damning." I left her office lighter, not because the pain was gone, but because I had a plan. Elaine would serve Mark papers within the week. Back in my car, I met Jen at a coffee shop nearby. A cozy place with exposed brick and the smell of roasted beans. She hugged me tightly, her curly hair tickling my cheek. "You're stronger than you know," she said, sliding a latte toward me. "I don't feel strong," I admitted, staring into the foam. "I feel like an idiot for not seeing it." "You're not an idiot. He's a liar." Jen's voice was fierce. "You're going to rebuild, Sarah. Better than before." Her words stuck with me as I drove to Lakewood that afternoon. I texted Laura, asking to meet again. She'd agreed, suggesting a different coffee shop, away from her kids. I needed answers, not just about the money but about her, about how Mark had deceived us both. The shop was quieter, with soft jazz playing and a handful of patrons. Laura sat in a corner, her dark hair loose, her eyes red-rimmed. She stood as I approached, her expression a mix of guilt and exhaustion. "Sarah, I'm so sorry," she said before I could speak. "I had no idea he was married. I thought he was divorced, that you were gone." I sat across from her, my hands clasped tightly. "How did this happen?" "5 years, Laura. How did you not know?" She sighed, pushing a folder toward me. Screenshots of texts, emails from Mark claiming he was single, bank records showing his payments. "He was at my place a few nights a week," said he traveled for work the rest. "He was convincing. I trusted him." I scanned the texts, my chest aching. Mark's words to her were tender, familiar, the same tone he'd used with me. "He told me he was working late," I said, my voice flat. "All those nights he was with you." Laura nodded, tears spilling. "I'm cutting him off. The kids deserve better than his lies." She paused, her voice softening. "They don't know about you. I don't know how to tell them." "Don't," I said quickly. "They're kids. They don't need this mess." I meant it. Ethan and Lily weren't to blame, and I couldn't hate them, even if their existence broke me. We talked for an hour, 2 women bound by betrayal. Laura wasn't my enemy. She was another victim of Mark's web. "If you need to testify," I said. "About the money, the lies, will you?" She nodded. "Anything to make this right." I moved into the new apartment that week, a small space with bare walls and a view of a parking lot. It wasn't home, but it was mine. I hung no photos, just a single sketch I'd drawn. A garden vibrant with imagined flowers. I started therapy, a recommendation from Jen, and the sessions were raw, peeling back layers of anger and grief. My therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Patel, helped me name the pain, betrayal, yes, but also loss of trust, of identity. I'd been Mark's wife for so long, I'd forgotten who Sarah was. Work became a refuge. I threw myself into my marketing job, pitching new campaigns, and my boss noticed, offering a promotion to senior designer. The raise wasn't huge, but it was a start. I opened a new savings account, depositing my first paycheck, a tiny seed for a future I'd build alone. Friends rallied, Jen, my coworker Mia, even Laura, who texted occasionally, checking in. We weren't friends, not exactly, but we were allies bound by shared scars. 6 months had passed since I threw Mark out, since the folder of evidence, bank statements, photos, a lease tying him to Laura Mitchell and their 2 children, shattered the illusion of our marriage. The $50,000 house deposit, our dream of a home with a garden and a future, was gone, siphoned into his secret family. I stood in my new apartment, a 1-bedroom in a quiet Denver corner, sunlight streaming through the window, painting the hardwood golden. The space was small, with bare walls save for a single framed sketch I'd drawn. A garden bursting with imagined roses and lavender. It wasn't the house I'd dreamed of, but it was mine. A sanctuary carved from the wreckage of betrayal. I was 32, divorced and starting over. But for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope, fragile but real. The apartment smelled of fresh paint and coffee, a pot brewing on the counter as I prepared for the day. I'd landed a promotion at the marketing firm, senior designer, with a modest raise that let me breathe easier. My new savings account, separate from the tainted joint one, held $3,000, a seedling for a future I was building alone. Therapy had helped too. Dr. Patel's office, with its soft lighting and sage-scented candles, was a weekly refuge where I unpacked the layers of Mark's betrayal. 7 years of marriage, 5 of them a lie. I'd been Mark's wife for so long I'd lost Sarah. Now I was finding her again, one painful, liberating step at a time. My phone buzzed, a text from Laura. Coffee today? Kids are with my mom. We'd stayed in touch, an unlikely alliance born of shared scars. Laura wasn't my friend, not exactly, but she was a mirror, reflecting the damage Mark had done to us both. I typed back, sure, noon at Brood Awakening. I pulled on jeans and a sweater, the mirror catching my reflection. Dark circles faded, my brown hair tied back, a hint of strength in my eyes. I wasn't the broken woman who'd collapsed in the kitchen 6 months ago. I was rebuilding brick by brick. The coffee shop was a short walk, its brick walls and chalkboard menu a familiar comfort. Laura was already there, in a corner booth, her dark hair loose, her face less weary than when we'd met in that Lakewood park. She smiled, tentative but genuine, as I slid into the seat across from her. You look good, she said, pushing a latte toward me. Happier. I'm getting there, I said, wrapping my hands around the warm mug. You. She shrugged, her eyes flicking to her coffee. It's hard. Ethan asks about his dad sometimes. I don't know what to say. My chest tightened. Ethan, 6, with Mark's hazel eyes, and Lily, 3, innocent in their father's web. What do you tell him? That his dad loves him but can't be here right now. She sighed. It's not enough, but it's all I've got. Mark's been calling, wanting to see them, but I'm not ready. I nodded, understanding her hesitation. Mark had moved across the state, his career as a financial analyst in tatters after the divorce scandal spread through his professional circle. Elaine Carter, my lawyer, had been ruthless, securing the remaining assets and a small alimony. Laura had testified, her evidence, texts, bank records, proving Mark's lies to us both. He didn't fight the divorce, his guilt too heavy. I didn't wish him ill, but I felt no pity. He'd chosen his path. He doesn't deserve them, I said, my voice soft but firm. Or you. You're doing right by them, Laura. She met my eyes, her expression softening. Thanks. And you're doing okay? Really? I thought of the apartment hypertension, the promotion, the new apartment, the sketch on my wall. Better than okay, I said. Not perfect, but I'm finding my way. We talked for an hour about her kids, my job, the strange bond of surviving Mark's betrayal. She showed me a photo of Ethan and Lily at the park, their smiles bright. It hurt, but not as much as it once did. They weren't my enemies. They were just kids caught in the fallout. Back at my apartment, I called Jen, my sister, who'd been my rock. Want to grab dinner? I asked. I'm craving tacos. God, yes, she said, her voice bright. I'm bringing wine. That evening, Jen arrived with a bottle of red and a fierce hug. We sat on my tiny balcony, eating tacos from a food truck, the city lights twinkling below. You're glowing, she said, nudging me. New guy. I laughed, the sound surprising me. No, just me, I guess. She grinned. That's enough. Later, I walked through the park near my apartment. The air cool, the sky streaked with pink. Families laughed, kids ran, and I felt a pang but no longer a wound. The dream of the house was gone, but I'd gained something myself. I wasn't ready to trust again, but I was open to hope, to a future I'd shape on my own terms. Like, share and subscribe channel.